Well, good morning, everyone. I'm over at our design studios in Hebron, Kentucky. It's about 10 minutes from the Creation Museum, and I want to reveal to you today some of the stunning, and I mean stunning, this is stunning artwork for a brand new exhibit that'll be opening at the Creation Museum on Memorial Day weekend. It's our 10th anniversary this year. And despite all the predictions of the secularists out there, and over the years they've been talking about supposed failing attendance and we don't have the money to continue and we're going to close down. I mean, just recently there was some atheists discussing on a podcast that the Ark would have to close down and they could turn it into a casino or a hotel. They've done the same thing in regard to the Creation Museum for 10 years now, even before the museum was even constructed. These secularists, they are so obsessed with us and really frightened of the fact that this one major Creation Museum is having such an impact on people around the world when they've got all their secular museums and so on. Anyway, enough of that. We're going to meet a couple of our artists today, very talented artists. We have production designer Travis and exhibit artist Greg, and we're going to meet someone else here in a moment. So let's come in here first of all. There's this brand new exhibit being installed. It's quite a large exhibit at the Creation Museum, and it's really the last 3 C's of the 7 C's of history. So we go creation, corruption, catastrophe, confusion, and then Christ, cross, consummation. So this is going to be the 3 C's, Christ, cross, consummation. We'll just have a look at the artwork, and then they're going to tell us how they did this because it's quite stunning. And, you know, many of you have seen, I'm sure, religious artwork depicting the Nativity or other aspects of accounts in the Bible. But these, I think you'll see as you look at them, they're very different to what you normally see out there. And that's what they wanted to do. And they're going to be quite large as well. So first of all, let's just have a little look here. They brought them up on the TV screens. These are going to be very large pieces of artwork. And we'll show you that in a bit. But this one here, remember when Jesus cast the demons into the pigs? And over here, Jesus walking on the water, we can see there. And we're trying to get our videographer not to walk on the mic cord here right now and not trip over that. And here we are, this one, these over here, Jesus healing the blind man. And then the shepherds and the angels, and then the nativity. I love that picture there on the end, on the left there, of the nativity. It's very different to what you normally see, the way they've done that. And then over here, this one here, this is the raising of Lazarus from the dead, and then the angel rolling back the stone, and then the crucifixion. As you can see, these are really quite stunning. I believe there's 14 pieces in all. 15 total. Okay. So I thought there was 14. There's 15. So we're going to meet Travis and Greg. And first of all, if you can tell us, okay, did one person just get up and paint these? Is that what happened?
We're actually doing something a little unique here in that, so myself, Greg, and actually Greg's brother Ben, he wasn't able to join us today, but each of us work on these pieces. So for a day, we'll each work on 3 pieces, and the next day we'll actually swap them. And so that way, none of our styles are too, dominant or anything like that. Everything.
So 3 different styles, 3 different artists work on each piece. For all 15.
Yeah, it was a little bumpy at first, but we really started to mesh well together, and And it makes sense because a lot of us have worked on projects for the Ark and the Creation Museum, making dioramas or models, and we're all doing stuff like that anyways. And so, but it is a unique thing typically with illustration work to do that.
So Greg, how did you find that working with 2 other artists? I mean, I find it hard to work with one artist, let alone with the 3 of you to work together.
Right. Well, it's challenging. It's rewarding though. I think the overall product that we get to produce is better when we have more of us working on it.
But an artist's work is never done. How does that work when you've got 3 of them?
Well, I think it helps us though to wrap it up better when we have others' opinions saying, hey, that's good enough, instead of just working on it forever and ever. So yeah.
So it doesn't take millions of years.
No, it doesn't.
Anyway, we have to open this new exhibit by Memorial Day weekend.
Yes.
So you've got to have these finished.
Yes.
So Could you? I just looking at the one here, the crucifixion.
Yeah.
Now you did something interesting to be able to do that. Could you explain that? And let me get over to the side here so we can make sure we got that in the background, and
Yeah.
Travis can tell us a little bit of what we did.
We actually found some really nice rustic pieces of wood out in the shop, and rigged up a crucifix onto the picnic table out back. And
At the back of the design studio.
exactly,
there, at the back
yeah.
of the warehouse.
And we hung up Ben and another guy Joel here, and yeah, they got to be crucified in the very cold, dreary, rainy day.
And what did you do? Take photographs of that?
Yep. So we took photographs, and then those we used as references, and obviously we changed them quite a bit. But yeah,
Did others around here in this particular development wonder what was going on?
yeah. There's always some weird things we have to do for the sake of art. So
So they just know weird things happen over
yeah,
here.
exactly. I
Yeah,
think
they
they
come
shrug
out
it
to
off.
shake their head. That's that weirdo group again.
Exactly.
There they are.
Yep, yep. I modeled the underwear that he's wearing. So one of the guys came out one day, and I've got a pair of Roman underwear over top my jeans. So
Okay, that's a lot of information there that I'm not sure everyone really wants to know about that, but
yeah, but hey, you got to do what you got to do.
artists are a different breed. They really are a different breed.
Yep.
Okay, so Greg, what about this one here?
That one was pretty complicated. We decided to make a model of that one, which is still out in the shop. And so we take pictures of the model and then throw it in here into Photoshop, and then we work over top of that. It just saves a lot of time instead of having to figure out your lighting and all that kind of stuff. You just
So that was for Lazarus being raised from the dead.
yes, yep. So we made a model of the whole tomb, the whole scene, and lit it all, photographed it, and then brought it in here. And
So what is this model here?
this is a model of it's going to be John's vision of the New Jerusalem coming down. So this is just the rocky shoreline, and I can kind of show what we did with this because we took pictures of that. And I'm actually
Let's have a
working
look
on
here.
it.
People are fascinated by how
Right.
you work as artists, so
Yeah.
you can show us here.
So this is just the photograph of it lit that we just threw in here, and then we're gonna finish out this. This is just the rough comp of kind of the New Jerusalem that John has
so
seen.
you did the model
Yes.
with that photograph.
Yep, and then we just put it in here, and then we will use it just to get our lighting and everything, and then we go over that and just
And paint it all.
do everything else. Yeah.
So that'll be the New Jerusalem.
Yes.
So that's hey, you got to have this finished and printed and up by Memorial
Yeah,
Day weekend.
yeah.
Is that going to work?
Yes, it is going to work.
So
yeah,
how
it's
many
gonna
are
work
actually finished? Would you say?
We have
Oh, you're
not-
an artist. None are finished. I know that. But how many?
We've got 9 done. Yeah.
You've got 9 that are done, ready for the exhibit.
Ready
and,
to go to print.
There's going to be 15 over there. Okay, Travis. What about our model over here?
Yeah,
This.
so a lot of times for the when we're taking photo references, we will dress a character up in this, and so this is actually Second Temple period, mostly accurate clothing that they would wear. So this is the tunic that they wear in the 1st century, and it has these stripes. These are called the imra in the Hebrew, and he's wearing this this mantle wrap that goes over top of the whole thing, and
So this is for the clothing for some of the
First
people
century, yeah.
that you represent in the artwork. You do a lot of research, don't you?
Yeah, we do, and that's the beauty of this exhibit. We get to make these really, emotionally powerful pieces that are also historically accurate.
Right.
Biblically accurate, historically accurate, and that's what's really exciting.
So it's not just a matter of painting what you think.
Right,
It's a
right.
matter of doing the research, and then that's what the nativity that we have over here. That's really striking. I haven't seen a nativity looking
Yeah.
quite like that. So
Yeah.
why does it look so different?
Well, I think part of it is, she's inside. Mary doesn't have a head wrap on because she's with her family. She doesn't need to. She's not going out in public. We looked at, different swaddling styles. This one we actually based off of what they do in Morocco today, which, really fits with the biblical description there. And, Joseph, he has a, 1st century tunic on. Shorter hair that's common in the Hellenistic world. So we really kind of pulled in a lot of these cultural,
Because
historical
a lot of
things.
nativity scenes all look the same, don't they?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
what we want to do with all this artwork is to have artworks very different. I mean,
Yeah.
even the one with Jesus casting the demons into the pigs.
Yeah, really break
And-
the mold and
then the pigs drowned, and then the demons waited to go into computers. Did you know
Yeah,
that?
yeah, exactly.
That's my theory.
Well, PCs, they stayed away from Macs.
They stayed away from Macs. I don't know. I've had some issues with Macs lately too. I thought Macs were, MAC stood for Macs are Christian, but I've decided that's not true. PC is pagan computers.
Oh,
you know?
that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, now we have another one of our staff over here, our content manager. Now this is hi Tim.
Hey, Ken.
Have you heard of the Nephilim in Genesis 6? We call him Nephil-Tim. His name is Tim, so I call him Nephil-Tim. Here he is here. Everyone around here has to look up to Tim. Every time I see him, I'm reminded of that verse of Scripture. There were giants on the earth in those days.
I just try not to step on you when I walk around.
So, Tim, tell us about the content for the Christ Cross Consummation exhibit that's opening for our 10th anniversary. And the museum, actually, attendance this year has more than doubled compared to what it was last year. It's absolutely phenomenal with the opening of the Ark. And I just called one of the people at the Ark, one of our guest services managers down there, and he said that there were 23 tour buses at the Ark today, and as I was driving out of the museum I counted about 13 there, so that'd be like 35, 36 tour buses today between the Ark and the Creation Museum.
They must be fake because nobody's coming.
That's right, nobody's coming. The secularists out there saying that. The Freedom from Religion Foundation attorney recently put up a video saying nobody's coming, place is going to fail. Did you know that one of them said they spoke to David Silverman from the American Atheist, and they said they're thinking of trying to take over the Ark for their offices because it's all going to fail. And then they talked about turning it into a casino and so on. But I'm going to show those fake photographs of all the buses and the fake photographs of our artists that are working on the new exhibit for our 10th anniversary for the Creation Museum. We're going to show all those fake photographs and the fake thousands of people that are there today and at the Ark. And anyway, tell us a little bit about the the Christ Cross Consummation, I should say, exhibit. Just quickly summarize the content.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this exhibit because we get to finish off the museum. We get to talk about the reason we do what we do, and that is to...
We're finally getting this part of the museum finished.
That's right, we're finally doing that. What a great 10th anniversary.
And you know what we're going to do next? We've already got approved plans for a new building to expand all the exhibits and make a far bigger Creation Museum.
Right.
Don't tell the secularists that. Don't tell them. It's all fake. It's not happening. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, well, it's a great exhibit because we get to talk about the most important message we can talk about, and that's that the Son of God became one of us and lived a sinless life, and then he went to the cross to die in our place and then rose from the dead. And we know that someday he's going to return as well. So we get to explain all of those truths, and what we want to do is walk people through the life of Christ, beginning actually in the Old Testament with some of the many prophecies that tell what his life is going to be like and who he's going to be. And then we get to talk about who he really is. And, the Bible tells us he's God, he is the creator. We have those famous I am statements from the Gospel of John. So we're going to see that he claimed to be God. And then we also have some of his teachings. We're going to show his power, many of the miracles that he did, and you saw some of the illustrations that they're already working on with the raising of Lazarus and the casting out of demons. So he's got power over the supernatural world, power over the natural world, power over sicknesses, and he demonstrated that over and over again.
And power over death.
And that's my favorite one, power over death. So we get to see that he was crucified for our sins, not for his own, because he was sinless. And then we see that he conquered death 3 days later. And then after he showed himself alive by many infallible proofs, is what the book of Acts tells us, he ascended into heaven, and someday he's going to return in like manner. And at the end of the exhibit, we're going to wrap it up by kind of tying the whole museum together. We're going to go back to talking about the first man, Adam, and how the first Adam wrecked God's perfect creation. The last Adam came to restore what the first man had wrecked.
Up until now, we've been showing the movie The Last Adam, which we still show at the Creation Museum. We show it in the theaters now because there's so many people want to see it. But now this actually, we always wanted to do a major exhibit on Christ Cross Consummation. And actually, we've never been ashamed of the fact that we're on about the gospel. And even our artists here, that's the whole purpose of why you're here, correct?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Not just because we want to have an interesting attraction, but it has a purpose in proclaiming the gospel. And Tim, I think to really sum up the purpose of all this, for instance, at the Ark, I think it was last Friday, something happened, someone stopped you in the gift store And we had just installed, we've got 2 movies there now on deck 2 and deck 3 in the stern. We've got those open theaters there. And those movies are about tabloid reporters coming to interview Noah before the flood, and then they come to the ark. That's the new video that we installed, but it really presents the gospel. We have Ray Comfort actually appearing in that movie too. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, well, actually I was involved in that part. This is a tough part of my job. I had to go out to California, Southern California, and supervise Ray Comfort to make sure he got presented.
He needs supervising, believe me. Yeah.
But as I was walking into the gift shop, right before I got in there, somebody had walked out with his family, and he stopped me and said, "Do you work here?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Well, I want you to know," and he pointed back to the young man that was with him. We were up on the, we just came out of the ark, and my son-in-law just got saved. And I asked him to explain a little more, and he said, "Well, we were watching that new film up on the 3rd floor, and as the gospel was presented, he gave his life to the Lord." And praise God. That's why we're here. That's the reason we're doing what we do.
And that's why, there were people mocking us when we were going to build the Creation Museum, and then again with the ark, saying you can't build major attractions to compete with Hollywood and the quality of Hollywood and so on, and be overtly Christian and evangelistic. It's not going to work. People won't come, but people are coming from all over the world. Thousands of people, non-Christians, Christians, coming from all over the world. Well, hey, thank you guys. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll give people a little sneak preview. If you hang on, a sneak preview of a new exhibit going in at the Ark that I don't think anyone really knows anything about. And Tim, you're going to show us this. They're called Steelies.
Yeah, Steelies.
And they're going outside in the East Village. Massive monument stones. Can we have a sort of a little preview of that before we end off here?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, so here's a little sneak preview. Hey, thanks, Travis. Thanks, Greg. Hey, thanks for telling you guys and all the guys that work here. There's a lot of you. And the fact that you're actually going to get these art pieces finished. But they are stunning. They are stunning. You know what? One of the things I spoke to somebody about the other day, we need to get actually prints of these done and made available to people, because I think they would love it. I'd love to have some of these prints to be able to put around my office or put at home, because they're absolutely stunning and they're unique. They're different to anything else, and the 3 artist approach. I like it. I like it. Okay. Well, Tim, let's just assume our connection's going to work okay. Sometimes with Facebook Live, I don't know, when you move around, some weird things happen. Did you want to grab? We've got one up here. Okay, it's actually good having you here because you're about 15 feet tall. Well, maybe not. It seems like it to me. But let's stand here. This is actual size, right?
Yeah, this is the actual size of the Steelies that we're going to be putting in at the East Village. So they're these giant monument stones that will tell the story, tell the account from Genesis through from the creation all the way through the flood.
So it's sort of going to be like hieroglyphics.
Yeah, actually, here, if we can get zoomed in on this, or maybe I'll put that. So they're going to look more like this. This is just the taller page there is really just a sketch of what they were going to look like.
But will people know what they're portraying?
I think it's pretty easy to tell for the most part, but we're going to have a sign next to it that will be explaining the various scenes.
English.
Yeah, in English, right. At least I try to write in English. We'll see what happens.
Okay, a sign, but explaining these. And how many of these are there going to be?
There's going to be 6 of them.
6 of them?
Yep, so you're going to go from the creation of Adam and Eve to the temptation and the fall. And
So as you get off in front of the lake at the Ark, the West Village on the left side, now that's opening sometime soon, the West Village. They're getting that ready, and that's got a number of buildings in it. And then the East Village will open, and the East Village is where the monument stones will be.
Right.
So people have a lot more to do on the outside once these 2 villages are opened.
yeah, they will. It'll help, I think, ease some of the traffic inside the Ark because that gets pretty busy.
What traffic? Secularists say there's no traffic.
The makeup traffic, that we're making up.
Yes. So,
When we're giving tours there.
and don't tell the secularists we're expanding the Ark and we're opening 2 new villages. Let's go down here as well, but these are going to be fantastic.
Yeah,
and
they're gonna look really neat.
they're going to be massive as people walk down and see those. And we can show people the actual size of the artwork that's going to be in the Christ Cross Consummation exhibit. So these pictures here show you the size. So this is the Nativity. This is one of my favorites. They're all my favorites. There's going to be 15 favorites, but this one especially. The unique Nativity. I've never seen a Nativity scene like that, but this is going to be the actual size. You want to stand beside that?
And one thing this will make the artist happy and our graphic artist These are not final art and final
Right.
graphic design. It's just
It's
a
a
mock-up to
the
show how
mock-up
big they're going to
to
be.
show how big they're going to be.
Yep.
So there, we'll put you beside there, and then put me in here beside Nefeltim, which is my name for Tim. There we are. So these are going to be the actual size. That'll be 15 of them in that big exhibit
15
there.
is the illustration, but then there's also a lot of panels that are just graphic design, just wording. So there's going to be more than just 15 panels.
Right, a lot
Yep.
more panels, yeah, because all the information will be on there.
Right.
And other graphics and so on. Well, that is really great. Wow, there's a lot going on, and a lot of people coming to the Creation Museum and the Ark. Today is interesting. Let me see how many they're predicted, because today is, what is today, Tuesday? Tuesday, yeah. Midweek is always the lowest time of day, and I was going to open up. Oh, guess what? My app won't open. I don't know why. Maybe I'm not getting the signal here. Oh, I know why. Because the Wi-Fi is not working here. We tried that before. So let me turn the Wi-Fi off and see if that works. Okay, technology. See, I'm right. I'm right that the demons went out of the pigs, and then they're in technology. Well, there's already, what's the time? It's 10 to 12, and usually whatever the numbers are at the Ark by about 12, you double it, because that's usually what happens, because a lot of people come in from 12 to 2 or 3 in the afternoon.
Which actually works pretty well down there, because if you come in right at 9 or 10, it's pretty busy, but if you come in at lunchtime,
Well, guess
it
what?
still gets busy.
It's before 12, and there's almost 3,000 at the Ark already. Well, they're going to have a big day today.
Are those real people or are those the fake ones that we...
It's they're all fake people, yeah. So they were predicting over 4,000 today, but by that count, there's already nearly 3,000 there.
That's great.
I think it's going to go way over 4,000 today, probably go 5,000 or 6,000 today. And the Creation Museum, they're predicting 2,700 today. And again, by whatever the numbers are by midday, you pretty well double it. That pretty well works, doesn't it, as a rule? And there's 1,500 at the Creation Museum, but the Creation Museum only counts those that actually have gone through the actual walkthrough. And there's a lot of other things to do. There could be 2,000 there right now, because that's usually the way it works. So, yep, all those fake buses and all those fake people. So anyway, I tell you, I know they use the term fake news today, but there's been a lot of fake news about the Creation Museum and the Ark, and that's one of the reasons why I like to show people all the exciting things that are happening. So with that, we will end off this broadcast here. If you go to the comments, they should have pinned there the link to the Creation Museum. Right at the top, but creationmuseum.org to find out information about the Creation Museum, creationmuseum.org, and Ark Encounter, arkencounter.com. Go to arkencounter.com. The two leading Christian-themed attractions in the world that are actually attracting thousands of people a day right now, thousands and thousands a day, coming from all over the world. So make sure that you make your plans to come and visit. It's absolutely amazing when you see them, and the message that they have. And even non-Christians tell us, wow, we appreciate the way you present it. Maybe that's one more thing you could say before we go. I've had many people say to me, and Tim, you're the content manager and you make sure the content's presented in the right way, but even non-Christians have come and said, I appreciate the way that you present it, that you're not banging people on the head, not forcing them to believe something, but presented sensitively.
Yeah, and not only that, but it's also done with such high quality, like you showed with the artwork. But on opening day of the Ark, I had the opportunity to lead 21 atheists and agnostics, those protesters, through the Ark, and several of them told me that the quality was stunning. The Ark itself was just a gorgeous structure. Even though they strongly oppose what we're doing, they couldn't deny the quality.
Right.
And so what we're trying to do, everything is at first class, and then also do it in a way where we present the message clearly and boldly, but at the same time not hammering somebody over the head with it.
Right. Exactly. Hey, let me ask our videographer, Maria, did we get any questions? I know we didn't ask for questions, but we'll just walk back and look at the artwork once again before we finish off. But if anyone wants to ask an artist a question, this is your opportunity. If you're on here right now and you want to ask a question about the artwork, or ask Tim a question about these steelies that are going in, we'll come back here, have one more look at this artwork. We'll get the guys to bring it up for us. And if you got a question, quickly put it up there in one of the comments, and we'll just again have a look at this. So this is going to be the stunning artwork. We'll look over here first of all, the nativity, the angels and the shepherds, Jesus healing the blind man, and they're going. So what size are those pieces of art as they're done? I know compared to Tim, they're quite large.
These ones are fairly large. They're like 4 feet tall. This one's
4
actually
feet tall.
4 by 4, so it's
4
it's a
by
big
4.
one.
Okay.
This
The
one
Lazarus
right
one
here-
is the biggest.
Yeah, this is 8 feet wide. So
And,
they're
that one's
big
going to be 8 feet
pieces.
wide. Oh,
Yeah.
so they're sort of different sizes, but they're going to be massive. This is the healing of Lazarus, or the raising of Lazarus. Well, healing as well, but and then the resurrection, the stone being rolled away, and I love the way that soldier's falling over, and they're
Quite terrified.
quite terrified at what's going on,
See, we-
and.
Travis, I like that they do so much research on each of these.
Yeah.
And so they'll come and talk to me about certain things, like the sign on the cross. What did it say above Jesus' head?
Yeah.
And so we worked for several days. I consulted with a Greek scholar and somebody who knows the Hebrew language really well, because the Bible says it was written in Latin, Hebrew, and in Greek. And so we wanted to make sure we got that correct.
Okay, and so you've actually got it on there in
Yeah.
those languages.
Another fun thing we were able to do, you'll notice the crown of thorns that Christ has, we have leaves on it because, it's meant to be a mockery of the Greek laurel crown
Right.
that is, and so typically you see this dry thing that would have
Right.
been impossible to actually bend around, but it was
That's
like,
all part of the uniqueness of it all.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like we were able to do that.
So did you throw a heap of pigs off a cliff and get a photograph of this
Yes,
one?
Actually,
Lots of bacon.
yes, we had lots of pork afterwards.
So, and then Jesus walking on water, and the one on the left is meant to challenge people, isn't it?
It is. I mean, the Bible talks about how the unbelieving, the cowardly will be thrown into the lake of fire, Revelation 21:8. And so we're depicting what John is seeing in that vision. And same thing with when the New Jerusalem's coming down. We're seeing John looking at that.
The vision that he had, and
It was a tricky one to draw too. Just realizing you're illustrating people, going through torment. I mean, there are times where we pause and just kind of talk about it, like, wow, what are we drawing? This is crazy, and
And it should motivate us to
yeah.
reach out to the lost even more.
yeah, and that's what it's all about. So, do we get any questions, Maria? Okay, we got a couple of questions. All right.
Ken, I've got nicknames for these guys too. You gave
Yeah.
me a nickname, but
Yeah,
if-
you're
if-
Nefeltim.
If you know the movie Minority Report, I think I've heard you mention these are the precogs. They've got
Okay.
there's 3 of them here with their backs. to each
Yeah, that's
other.
how we come up with our ideas.
Excellent. So, Maria,
Someone asked if we have materials in Romanian language.
do we have materials in Romanian language? I tell you what, the best thing to do is go to the answersingenesis.org website and look up translations there, and that should tell you what we've got. And you can certainly send a message in through answersingenesis.org and ask about that. We have a massive translation ministry, and I'm just honestly, the ministry is so big I can't keep up to date with everything.
What degrees do the artists have?
What degrees do the artists have?
Actually, each of us were homeschooled, and so none of us have any schooling beyond high school for art.
That's why you do so well.
Yeah, maybe.
Hey, you know what, Travis, you guys, some of the number of the people here do have degrees, right? And I know Kristen, for instance, studied in the school that Disney started over there in California. And Tim, you've got degrees in theology
And apologetics,
and
church history.
and apologetics and church history, but some of you just have God-given talents, and you look at this and you say, "Wow,
Yeah.
you just got God-given talents."
Yeah, I mean, part of the blessing, I think each of us would agree, with being homeschooled, it really enabled us to work on our skills, and we obsess over our art, and we.
So you are homeschoolers who God gave a talent to, and you guys can produce artwork like this.
Yeah.
After many years.
Yes.
Yep. And they are also largely responsible for the dioramas that you see down at the Ark. So the stunning dioramas you see,
Yeah.
like Greg did the Babel one. He's the one who hand painted all those little itty bitty guys for
Really?
about 2 months. That's-
It's just amazing.
Yeah.
See, God can use the talents that He's given you, the gifts that He's given you, and you can do great things. Well, think about this. I'm out there, and I speak at pastors' conferences, and I was a high school science teacher. So there we are. Other questions?
Someone was asking if you can buy prints yet.
Can you buy prints yet? Not yet, but you know what? We're talking about how we're going to do that. Personally, I'd like to see sort of smaller prints that you could then easily put them on, a desk or something like that. But we'll talk about it. I think they could all be done as separate prints and made available. We need to, because this is really stunning and unique artwork.
When did you start drawing or doing graphic design?
When you start drawing and doing graphic design?
I've got a picture of myself playing with clay with a little bottle of apple juice next to me. So I was pretty tiny. So
I was about 16 years old.
And for you?
Yeah, I've done it all my life.
All your life.
When I was just a very young boy, I would
So
just
God
draw.
just put that burden in your heart?
Yeah,
And
we
gave
did.
you those gifts?
Yep, we would make up stories. Me and my brother would make up stories just so we could illustrate them. That's
So you did the Tower of Babel
Yes, the
diorama.
dioramas.
What else have you done, Trevor? Travis.
I designed and kind of oversaw all the dioramas that we have on the Ark, and so I worked with
They're
all
spectacular.
these guys.
They're just
Cool.
people look at them
Thank
and are amazed, and they say, "Wow, I think artists could do this." And guys like you have done this, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's what we live for.
Can you go through quickly and tell the process again?
Can you go through quickly and tell the process again? Okay, we have to be
Yeah.
quick. We don't want this Facebook Live to go on for millions of years here.
That's right.
Okay, so quickly.
Yeah, I mean, we start with what we call a thumbnail drawing, so it's just a really small, rough drawing that we get approved. From there, we start to kind of maybe sometimes go further into sketching, or we'll take reference photographs, make a model.
Like the reference
Yeah.
photograph of someone on the cross at the back there. as you did.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we'll have those on our secondary screen, and we'll just start illustrating on our primary screen here, just repainting all those things, making all those things kind of mesh, So we don't want it to look like a painted photograph. We really got to bring the artistry back
Right,
into it.
but
and-
you use the photographs as reference.
Yes.
Just like you're doing for the one with John looking at the New Jerusalem. You do a model like this,
Yeah.
take a photograph, put that there, but you don't just paint over the photograph.
Right.
You
And
just use-
sometimes we can't even really use a model for it. Like if you look at the Jesus healing the blind man, we didn't build a cityscape in the background or anything. We just had to make all of that up.
But that's only part of it. A lot of it is also research into what
Yeah.
clothes they have on,
Exactly.
and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and that's something I really have a passion for, because I did a lot of that costume design for the Ark, and having bringing
So
real
that's another thing
historical.
you did, the costume design
Yeah.
for the Ark.
Yeah, bringing the historical costumes to give a good sense of credibility to what we're doing, and to make it believable and real, and that's just something I'm passionate about, and I love seeing it when it's done well.
So do you do a lot of the research too, Greg?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what sort of research did you do for the Babel exhibit?
We did everything that we can get our hands on because at that period, I mean, there's not a lot. You're back into really early, like Sumerian history, and prior to that, obviously, and so there's not a lot to go on. So it's as early as you can go back and just pulling it, whatever evidence you can get. Yeah.
So again, it's important for people to understand it's not just a matter of sitting down painting a photograph. You do a lot of research.
Yes.
There's a lot of background to it.
Yes.
So any other questions, Maria?
Do you think the artwork will go into wallpaper backgrounds for computers, and also in a book? Will all the
Okay.
artwork, say, throughout the museum be in a book?
Okay, so that's a good example. Would the artwork go into a book? Actually, for the new Why the Bible is True exhibit down at the Ark, we're putting all those the graphic novel artwork there. We're putting that into a book, right?
Yeah, that should be ready in just a couple of weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the publisher already has it. It's at the printer. So
And
it's-
there's a number more illustrations other than the ones in the actual exhibit.
yeah, especially the car crash scene. We had to cut it for space.
Yeah. So what do you think about this idea, Tim, of the artwork here going into, Christ Consummation book?
I would love to do something like that. I think it'd
And
be
put
terrific.
the content in there. I know we're producing a book very soon of the signage down at the Ark,
And
and
we're also doing the Journey Through the Ark encounter. I'm working on that right now.
So
it'd be
there's
there's one Journey Through the Creation Museum where you see a lot of the exhibits
Right.
and some really spectacular
we'll have
photography.
to update that now with this.
Yep, we'll have to update that, and then we have one that's going to be similar to that. A companion to it will be the Journey Through the Ark encounter.
So, but I like an idea of just a separate Christ Cross Consummation with these pieces of artwork in them, and then all the content that you produced as well.
I do
'Cause-
too, and then we can add some more of the content
Right.
that needs to get
Yeah,
cut.
because you had to edit a lot of it out. That's
Right.
just it. A lot of it's edited for the sake of signage, but
Mm-hmm.
now you can put it all back in. And that's what you're doing for the Why the Bible is True exhibit down at the
Right.
Ark. There was a lot of content had to be added out, and a lot of artwork had to be added out for the sake of the exhibit. But now you're putting it in a book,
Right.
and that'll be available soon. Okay, any other quick questions? Because if there's nothing that's absolutely world staggering, we will end this exhibit. Hey, thanks guys,
Yeah,
and great to have you all here. We got many other artists here as well, and I think
And I would say, the exhibit itself was designed by John Taylor, Kristen Anderson, and just to give
Right.
a shout out to James for doing the graphic design.
John's done a lot of the
Yeah.
artwork as well.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Kristen, she's a
Yeah.
set designer, right?
Yeah, so there's a
And
lot of people that
So she's
work
been
on
involved.
these
Guys that are
things.
building it,
Yeah.
designing how to
Absolutely,
build it.
all
There's
the
so much that goes into
fabrication
it.
guys.
So there's a lot more that goes into it, and we have a lot of different people here
We just need
as
some
well.
good faces to
Yeah. Okay. All right, we're signing off here from the Design Studios in Hebron, Kentucky, which is about 10 minutes from the Creation Museum. We're about 35 minutes from the Ark, where we are right here. But we have 3 facilities actually: the Ark, and all that's associated with that, the Creation Museum and our offices and all that's associated with that, our observatory and so on. And then here we actually have a warehouse, a shipping warehouse, a print shop, fabrication shop with woodwork, metalwork, the design studios, and we have the place where they make the costumes. With our seamstress in there, Sandy. She's very talented too.
Absolutely,
And
yeah.
what you helped her design those costumes. So there's all sorts of people that work here, and other artists and fabricators. And okay, so hope you've enjoyed this live Facebook